all, and welcome back. Today, we're going to give you an update on our journey with Bitcoin and the tools that you can use to generate an income on Bitcoin. In the previous videos, I covered MicroStrategy's Strike vehicle, where they give you a dividend every quarter if you buy their stock. And then also, I'm a big fan of covered calls and using the Bitcoin ETF IBIT and selling covered calls against it. And over that period of time, the strike strategy seemed to be winning. But now we're in September. We started this journey in January 31st. And now we're in September and things have changed. And I just wanted to give everybody an update of where we're at today. So on January 31st, since everything's around Bitcoin anyway and the vehicles that we can use to generate an income, um, January 31st, Bitcoin was at around 102,000, and today it's at 116. So generating income on an appreciating asset is a nice thing to do. We'll see if this continues as well. And so let me get into the details of where we're at on the spreadsheet. So as you can see here, I've been tracking every month of what the strike has been able to provide in terms of dividends on that $5,700 investment. So we did a $5,700 investment in all of these different um, vehicles. Also put in QQQs just to compare to the NASDAQ. Of course, Bitcoin itself to see how if you just would have bought Bitcoin and held it versus buying these other strategies. And just a refresher, Strike is a dividend paying um, vehicle that MicroStrategy has created to provide you with a yield. IBIT is an ETF, selling covered calls against it, generate your own yield. And the journey here was to figure out which was a better strategy. Was it better just to buy this one stock and just hold it, not do anything, or would it be better to buy an ETF and sell covered calls against it? So these are all the details here. And the reason why I'm doing this update is because in September, Strike gives a dividend and QQQ does a dividend. And then we sold a covered call that expires on 10/30, 10/3 with a strike price of 69.50 with a 71-cent premium. So where we're at today is right here. Turns out September, we're actually ahead in the game if we would have bought Bitcoin IBIT ETF with selling covered calls against it, you'd be up about $200 more than just buying Strike and collecting its dividend. And another interesting thing is that if you would have just bought MicroStrategies and held onto it, you would actually be down today. In that investment would have been down $57. And again, if you would have just bought Bitcoin or QQQ, you'd be up about $700 for both of those investments. So right now, it looks like IBIT with covered calls is winning the race. Here's a little bit of details broken down by how much is just a regular gain and loss of the value before we bought it versus today's value, and then how much we've collected in dividends. And it's interesting, in Strike, you would have bought it back when it first was being offered and held on to it. You'd be up $1,000, plus you would have collected $300 for that dividend, which is nothing bad. That's a good thing. And IBIT, you would have only been up $800, but because we've been selling these monthly covered calls, you would have generated an additional $700 here. And again, this is MicroStrategy, we're not collecting a dividend. In Bitcoin, we're not collecting a dividend. And then QQQ, we are collecting a dividend, but it's very, very small. And then just to show you from a percentage perspective where we're at year to date, you're up. If you would have bought Strike, you'd be up 24%, including its dividend. You'd be up 27% with IBIT. If you included the covered calls that we sold against it, you'd be down 1% on MicroStrategies. And then interesting, you would be up Bitcoin and in the NASDAQ, you would be up around 13%. And then lastly, this is where we're at in terms of a dividend yield. I think Strike's posting, they provide an 8 or 9% dividend yearly. We're already at 12% with the IBIT covered call strategy. So moral of the story is you don't have to rely on a company like Strategy to generate your own income. Now, it takes a little bit of work. You have to sell covered calls. You got to know what you're doing there, but you can also generate a nice juicy dividend just using the Bitcoin ETF and selling covered calls against it. This is a strategy. We'll find out by the end of the year. We'll find out which one wins the race, but my money is on IBIT with covered calls. If you have any questions or comments, or you want me to send you the spreadsheet so you can validate for yourself, feel free. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you.